Good morning, sweetheart. I woke up extra early today because I wanted to make your favorite breakfast, scrambled eggs with toast, turkey bacon on the side, and fresh orange juice, just the way you like it. I even added a little bit of cheese to the eggs because I remembered you mentioned last week that you missed the way your grandmother used to make them with cheddar cheese. I want you to know that I listen to every single word you say, David, even the little things that you think I might forget. That is how much I love you, and that is how much this marriage means to me.
Linda, you didn't have to do all of this. It's just breakfast. You always do the most when it really isn't necessary. I have an early meeting at the office, and I honestly don't even have time to sit down and eat all of this food. You could have just made something simple, or better yet, I could have just grabbed something on the way to work. You always overdo things, and then you expect me to shower you with praise and gratitude for something I didn't even ask for in the first place.
David, I wasn't looking for praise or gratitude. I was simply trying to do something nice for my husband. That's what wives do. We take care of the people we love. I remember when we first got married 5 years ago, you used to wake me up with breakfast in bed every single Saturday. You used to leave little love notes in my lunchbox when I went to work. You used to call me 3 times a day just to tell me that you were thinking about me. What happened to that man, David? What happened to the man who told me at the altar that he would love me unconditionally for the rest of his life? Because lately, I feel like I am living with a stranger who barely acknowledges my existence.
Here we go again with the guilt trip. Linda, people change. Marriage changes people. I am not the same 25-year-old boy who wrote you love poems and left roses on your windshield. I am a 30-year-old man now with responsibilities, with pressure at work, with bills to pay, and with 1,000 things on my mind every single day. So forgive me if I don't have the energy to perform for you every morning like some kind of romantic movie character. This is real life, Linda. The sooner you accept that, the better off we will both be.
I am not asking you to perform, David. I am asking you to love me. There is a difference. I am not asking for grand gestures or expensive gifts. I am asking for basic human affection from the man I married. A hug. A kiss on the forehead. A simple thank you, Linda, I appreciate you. That's all I have ever wanted. But instead, every morning feels like I am walking on eggshells, terrified that something I say or do will trigger another argument. I feel like I am losing you, David, and it terrifies me because you are my whole world. You and this marriage are everything I have.
I don't have time for this emotional conversation right now, Linda. I told you I have an important meeting. We can talk about this later, or better yet, maybe you should find a hobby or something to keep yourself occupied instead of sitting around the house overthinking every little thing about our marriage. I'll be home late tonight. Don't wait up for me.
What am I doing wrong? I give this man everything I have, my love, my time, my energy, my entire being, and it still isn't enough. Maybe Margaret was right. Maybe I really am not good enough for her son. No, I can't think like that. Every marriage has rough patches. We will get through this. I just need to love him harder. I just need to be a better wife. Jessica, thank God you could meet me today. I really needed to talk to someone, and you are the only person in this world that I trust completely. You have been my best friend since we were 11 years old, that is almost 20 years of friendship, and you are the only person who truly understands me and what I am going through. I feel like I am falling apart, and I don't know who else to turn to. Oh my goodness, Linda, what happened? You look absolutely terrible, and I mean that in the most loving way possible. Your eyes are puffy, your skin looks dull, and I can tell you have been crying again. Is it David? Did something happen between you two again? Tell me everything, sweetheart. You know I am always here for you no matter what. That is what best friends are for, right? Through thick and thin, through good times and bad times, I will always be your shoulder to cry on. Jessica, I don't know what to do anymore. David has become a completely different person. He barely speaks to me. He comes home late almost every night, and when I ask him where he has been, he gets angry and tells me I am being controlling and paranoid. He doesn't eat the meals I cook. He sleeps on the far edge of the bed like I have some kind of disease. This morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock to make him his favorite breakfast, and do you know what he did? He looked at the food, told me I was doing too much, and walked out the door without touching a single thing. Jessica, my heart is broken into a million pieces, and I feel like no matter what I do, I cannot put it back together. Linda, listen to me very carefully. I need you to hear what I am about to say, and I need you to really let it sink in. Sometimes, men go through phases where they pull away emotionally. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't love you anymore. It could be stress from work, financial pressure, or even something personal that he is dealing with internally but doesn't know how to communicate. David married you for a reason. He chose you, Linda. Out of all the women in the world, he looked at you and said, "That is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with." So before you start panicking and assuming the worst, maybe you should give him some space and let him come back to you on his own terms. Men don't respond well to pressure. You always know exactly what to say, Jessica. You always have the right words at the right time. That is why you are my best friend, my sister from another mother. I don't know what I would do without you in my life. Sometimes I think God placed you in my path specifically to keep me sane during moments like this. Promise me something, Jessica. Promise me that no matter what happens in life, you will always be honest with me and you will always have my back. Can you promise me that? Of course I promise you that, Linda. I would never do anything to hurt you. You are like a sister to me, and sisters protect each other. That is the sacred bond that we share, and nothing and no one could ever come between us. Now, wipe those tears, order yourself a nice latte, and let's talk about something positive. Tell me about the new recipe you were trying last week, the one with the garlic shrimp. I have been dying to hear how it turned out. My darling boy, come in, come in. I have been waiting for you all day. Sit down and tell your mother everything. How is that little plan of ours progressing? I hope everything is going according to schedule, because I have already spoken with my contact at the insurance company, and everything is in place on that end. We just need to make sure that every single detail is airtight and that there are absolutely no loose ends that could come back to haunt us later.
Mother, everything is going exactly as planned, but I have to be honest with you. There are moments when I feel a small twinge of guilt about what we are about to do to Linda. She is not a bad woman, Mother. She is actually a very good woman. She cooks for me, she cleans for me, she supports me emotionally, and she loves me with every fiber of her being. This morning, she woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to make me breakfast, and I sat there and threw it back in her face like it meant nothing. The look of pain in her eyes almost made me reconsider this entire thing.
David Anthony Williams, you listen to me right now and you listen to me good. I did not raise you to be soft and sentimental. I raised you to be strategic and ambitious. Yes, Linda is a nice girl. Yes, Linda is a good cook and a decent housewife. But what has Linda brought to this family? Nothing. She comes from nothing, she is nothing, and she will always be nothing. When you married that girl 5 years ago against my wishes, I told you that she was beneath our family's status, and I was right. She works as a receptionist at a dental office, David. A receptionist. My son deserves a woman of substance, a woman of wealth, a woman of class and sophistication. And that woman is Jessica.
I know, Mother. Jessica is everything that Linda is not. Jessica comes from a wealthy family. Jessica has connections. Jessica has ambition and drive and a business mind that could help us build an empire. And I love Jessica, I genuinely do. I have been in love with her for the past 2 years, ever since that night at the charity gala when she pulled me aside and told me she had feelings for me. But the irony of this whole situation is that Jessica is supposed to be Linda's best friend. They have known each other since childhood. If Linda ever found out what was happening between Jessica and me, it would destroy her completely. And that is why this plan needs to be executed perfectly.
And it will be executed perfectly, my son, because I have thought of every single possible scenario and every single possible complication. In exactly 2 weeks, you will stage your death in a car accident on Highway 47. My contact at the police department will file the report. The body, which will actually be a John Doe from the county morgue, will be burned beyond recognition, so there will be no need for Linda to identify you. She will receive the death certificate, she will grieve, she will mourn, and then eventually, she will move on with her pathetic little life. Meanwhile, you and Jessica will relocate to another state, start a new life together under a new identity, and live the life that you truly deserve. It is a flawless plan, David. Absolutely flawless.
And the insurance money? The $300,000 from my life insurance policy, Linda is still listed as the beneficiary. Won't that raise suspicions if she collects that money?
Let her have the insurance money. Consider it a parting gift for 5 years of mediocre marriage. $300,000 is pocket change compared to the fortune that you and Jessica will build together. Besides, if we try to change the beneficiary now, it will look suspicious and could jeopardize the entire plan. Let Linda take the money, pay off whatever little debts she has, and disappear into obscurity. She is irrelevant, David. She has always been irrelevant. Now, focus on the future, your future with Jessica. That is all that matters. I have been counting down the minutes until I could see you again. Every moment I spend away from you feels like an eternity, David. Do you know how difficult it is for me to sit across from Linda at that coffee shop, hold her hand, listen to her cry about her marriage, and pretend like I am not the reason her marriage is falling apart? Do you know how hard it is to look my so-called best friend in the eyes and lie to her face every single day? It is exhausting, David. This double life is absolutely exhausting, and I don't know how much longer I can keep up this charade.
Jessica, listen to me. You only have to keep up the charade for 2 more weeks. That's it. 14 more days, and then this nightmare of pretending and hiding and sneaking around will finally be over. In 2 weeks, David Williams will be declared dead, and a brand new man, Daniel Watson, will emerge from the ashes. Daniel Watson and his beautiful wife Jessica Watson will start a brand new life in California, far away from this city, far away from Linda, and far away from all the guilt and the lies. We will buy a beautiful house by the ocean, I will start my new business with the startup capital that my mother has been saving, and we will live the life that we have been dreaming about for the past 2 years. Can you hold on for just 2 more weeks, my love?
I can hold on. I can do anything as long as I know that at the end of it all, I get to be with you openly, freely, without hiding, without pretending, without guilt. But David, there is something that has been eating away at me, and I need to say it out loud before it consumes me entirely. Linda doesn't deserve what we are about to do to her. She is a good person. She is kind, she is generous, she is loyal to a fault, and she has never done anything to hurt either one of us. She considers me her sister. She trusts me with her deepest secrets, her fears, her insecurities, and I have used every single one of those vulnerabilities against her. What kind of person does that make me, David? What kind of monster am I becoming?
You are not a monster, Jessica. You are a woman who fell in love, and love makes people do things that they never imagined they were capable of doing. Yes, Linda is a good person. No one is disputing that. But being a good person doesn't mean she is the right person for me. I married Linda because she was safe, she was comfortable, and she was there at a time when I didn't know what I wanted out of life. But then I met you, the real you, not the surface-level friendship version of you, and everything changed. You challenged me intellectually. You matched my ambition. You made me feel alive in ways that Linda never could and never will. So no, I don't feel guilty about choosing you. I feel guilty about the method we are using, but the choice itself, the choice to be with you, that is the most honest decision I have ever made in my entire life.
You're right. You are absolutely right. We can't help who we fall in love with, and we can't spend the rest of our lives living a lie just to spare someone else's feelings. Linda will be hurt, yes. She will cry, she will grieve, she will mourn, but eventually, she will heal. Time heals everything. And who knows? Maybe one day, she will find someone who loves her the way she deserves to be loved. Someone who appreciates her breakfast and her little love notes and all the things that you and I both know you were never truly grateful for. Linda deserves happiness too, just not with you. You belong with me, David. You have always belonged with me. Good evening, officer. Can I help you? Is everything all right? My husband hasn't come home yet, and he is not answering his phone. I have been calling him for the past 3 hours, and every single call goes straight to voicemail. I was actually just about to call the police station myself because this is very unlike David. Even when he comes home late, he always sends me a text message to let me know he is on his way. But tonight, there has been nothing, complete radio silence, and I am starting to get really worried.
Ma'am, my name is Detective Raymond Cole from the Metropolitan Police Department. Are you Mrs. Linda Williams, wife of David Anthony Williams, date of birth March 15, 1994? I need to confirm your identity before I proceed because the information I am about to share with you is extremely sensitive and deeply unfortunate.
Yes, I am Linda Williams. David is my husband. Detective, please, you are scaring me. What is going on? Where is my husband? Is he hurt? Was he in some kind of accident? Please, just tell me what happened. I can handle it. Whatever it is, just tell me the truth. I need to know where my husband is right now.
Mrs. Williams, maybe you should sit down for this. I think it would be best if you were seated when I tell you what I need to tell you. Is there someone I can call for you? A family member, a friend, a pastor, someone who can be here with you right now? Because what I am about to say is going to be very difficult to hear, and I don't think you should be alone when you hear it.
Detective Cole, please stop prolonging this and just tell me what happened to my husband. You are making this worse by dragging it out. Every second that you stand there without speaking, my imagination is running wild with the worst possible scenarios. Just say it. Whatever it is, just say it.
Mrs. Williams, at approximately 6:45 this evening, a vehicle registered under the name David Anthony Williams was involved in a severe single-car accident on Highway 47, approximately 12 miles east of the Riverside exit. The vehicle apparently lost control, crashed through the guardrail, and rolled down a steep embankment before catching fire. By the time emergency services arrived on the scene, the vehicle was completely engulfed in flames. The fire department worked for over an hour to extinguish the blaze, and when they finally gained access to the vehicle, they recovered the body from the driver's seat. Mrs. Williams, I am deeply sorry to have to tell you this, but based on the vehicle registration, the personal belongings found at the scene including a wallet and a wedding ring, and the preliminary identification conducted at the scene, we have strong reason to believe that the deceased individual is your husband, David Anthony Williams. I am so very sorry for your loss, ma'am.
No. No, 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 no. This is not real. This cannot be happening. Not my David. Not my husband. Detective, please tell me you are wrong. Please tell me there has been some kind of mistake. Maybe it was someone else's car. Maybe someone stole his car and they were the one driving. David cannot be dead. He promised me he would come home tonight. He promised me. Oh God, oh God, oh God. This can't be real. This is to be a nightmare. Please, God, let me wake up. Please let me wake up from this nightmare.
Mrs. Williams, I understand that this is an incredibly devastating moment, and I want you to know that the entire department extends our deepest condolences to you and your family. I know that no words I say right now can ease the pain that you are feeling, and I won't insult you by pretending otherwise. What I can tell you is that we will conduct a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding this accident to determine exactly what happened and why. If there was any mechanical failure, any external factor, any foul play of any kind, we will find it. In the meantime, is there someone I can call for you? You should not be alone right now.
Call Jessica. Call my best friend Jessica. Her number is in my phone. She is the only one. She is all I have now. David was my everything, detective. He was my husband, my best friend, my partner, my protector, my reason for waking up every morning. And now you're telling me he's gone. Just like that? 1 minute he's alive, and the next minute he's just gone? How am I supposed to survive this? How am I supposed to live in this house alone, sleep in that bed alone, eat at that table alone? Everything in this house reminds me of him. Every room, every corner, every wall, David is everywhere. How do I exist in a world where David doesn't exist? Please. Someone tell me how to survive this. Linda. Oh my God, Linda, I came as fast as I could. I was already in my car when Detective Cole called me, and I drove straight here without stopping. I ran every red light, I broke every speed limit, because the only thing that mattered to me in that moment was getting to you. Are you okay? Of course you're not okay. What a stupid question. Your husband just died, and I am asking you if you're okay. I am so sorry, Linda. I am so incredibly sorry. David was a wonderful man, and he loved you more than anything in this world. This is an unspeakable tragedy, and I cannot even begin to imagine the pain that you must be feeling right now. Jessica, he's gone. David is gone. The detective said there was a car accident on Highway 47 and the car caught fire and they found a body and it was David, Jessica. It was my David. The man I married 5 years ago. The man who stood at that altar and promised me forever. Forever was supposed to be longer than this, Jessica. Forever was not supposed to end on a random Tuesday evening on some highway while I was at home folding laundry and waiting for him to walk through the door. This is not fair. This is not how our story was supposed to end. We were supposed to grow old together. We were supposed to have children together. We were supposed to sit on a porch somewhere when we were 80 years old and laugh about all the fights we had and all the hard times we survived. But now there is no porch. There is no old age. There are no children. There is nothing. There is just nothing. Shh, shh, shh. It's going to be okay, Linda. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but eventually, it is going to be okay. I am here for you, and I am not going anywhere. Whatever you need, whether it's someone to sit with you in silence, someone to help you with the funeral arrangements, someone to cook for you, clean for you, handle the paperwork, whatever it is, I will do it. You don't have to go through this alone. I am your best friend, and I will carry you through this darkness until you can walk on your own again. That is a promise, Linda. That is a sacred promise from my heart to yours. You know what the worst part is, Jessica? The worst part is that the last conversation David and I had this morning was an argument. He walked out of this house upset, and I didn't chase after him. I didn't say I love you. I didn't kiss him goodbye. I just stood there in the kitchen, staring at a plate of cold scrambled eggs, feeling sorry for myself because he didn't appreciate my cooking. And now he is dead, and the last memory he has of me is his nagging wife who couldn't just let him leave the house in peace. I will carry the guilt with me for the rest of my life, Jessica. I will go to my grave knowing that the last words my husband heard from me were words of complaint instead of words of love. Linda, you cannot blame yourself for this. You had no way of knowing that this morning would be the last morning. No one ever knows when the last morning is going to be. And David knew you loved him. Despite every argument, despite every disagreement, despite every difficult morning, that man knew, deep in his heart, that you loved him unconditionally. Your love for David was the most obvious thing in any room you walked into together. Everyone could see it. I could see it. His mother could see it. The whole world could see how much Linda Williams loved her husband. So please, do not let guilt rob you of the grieving process. You are allowed to be sad. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to feel whatever you need to feel. But guilt? No. Guilt has no place here. David would not want you to carry that burden. Linda, I suppose I should offer my condolences, although no amount of words can bring back my son. My only child. The boy I raised single-handedly after his father abandoned us when David was only 3 years old. I poured everything I had into that boy, every penny, every ounce of energy, every prayer, every sacrifice, and now he is lying in a box at the age of 30 because life is cruel and unfair and merciless. But I did not come here to cry, Linda. I came here to discuss practical matters because someone has to think clearly while everyone else is drowning in emotion. Practical matters? Margaret, your son, my husband, is being buried today, and you want to discuss practical matters? Can we not have one single day to grieve without thinking about logistics and paperwork and whatever else you consider more important than mourning the loss of a human being? Linda, grief is a luxury that not everyone can afford. I learned that lesson the hard way when David's father left me with nothing but a stack of unpaid bills and a crying baby. So forgive me if I don't have the luxury of falling apart the way you seem so comfortable doing. Now, here is what I came to discuss. David's life insurance policy, the one through his employer, lists you as the sole beneficiary. The payout is $300,000. I expect that you will do the honorable thing and share a portion of that money with me, his mother, the woman who gave him life, the woman who raised him, the woman who sacrificed everything so that he could become the man you married. I think 50% is more than fair, considering that I am his flesh and blood and you are merely someone who signed a piece of paper at a courthouse 5 years ago. Margaret, I cannot believe what I am hearing right now. Your son is not even in the ground yet, and you are standing here talking about money? About insurance policies and percentages? What kind of mother are you? I married David because I loved him, not because of a life insurance policy that I didn't even know existed until the detective mentioned it last night. I don't care about the money, Margaret. I would give back every single penny, I would give back everything I own, if it meant I could have David back for just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes to tell him I love him. 5 more minutes to say goodbye. But you were standing at your own son's funeral calculating your share of the payout? That is disgusting, Margaret. That is absolutely disgusting, and David would be ashamed of you if he could see you right now. How dare you speak to me like that? I am David's mother. I will always be David's mother. You were just his wife, and frankly, you were never good enough to be his wife in the first place. I told David before the wedding that he was making the biggest mistake of his life by marrying a woman with no family, no fortune, and no future. And I was right. Look at you, standing here in a borrowed black dress, crying your eyes out, with nothing to show for 5 years of marriage except a rented apartment and a used car. My son deserved better than you, Linda. He always deserved better than you. And the fact that he is gone now only proves that God saw the misery of his marriage and decided to put him out of his suffering. Get away from me, Margaret. Get away from me right now before I say something that I cannot take back. Today is about honoring David's memory, not about fighting over money or trading insults. If you want the insurance money, you can have it. Take all of it. Every last cent. Because unlike you, I cannot put a price tag on the man I loved. Now if you'll excuse me, I am going to go say goodbye to my husband, something you clearly have no interest in doing. Linda, I am so glad to see you back at work, but I have to be completely honest with you, you do not look well at all. And I don't mean that in a superficial way. I mean that as someone who genuinely cares about your health and your well-being. You have lost so much weight in the past month that your clothes are practically hanging off your body. The circles under your eyes are so dark that it looks like you haven't slept in weeks. And your hands, look at your hands, Linda, they are shaking. Your body is telling you that something is very wrong, and I think you need to listen to what your body is trying to say. Sarah, I appreciate your concern, I really do, but I had to come back to work. I didn't have a choice. My landlord called me last week and told me that if I don't pay this month's rent by Friday, he is going to begin the eviction process. David handled all of our finances, and when he died, I discovered that we had almost nothing in our savings account. There was barely $2,000 left, and most of that went toward funeral expenses that the insurance hasn't covered yet because the claim is still being processed. The insurance company told me it could take up to 90 days for the payout to be finalized, and in the meantime, I have bills that need to be paid, food that needs to be bought, and a roof that needs to stay over my head. So yes, I look terrible. Yes, I haven't been eating or sleeping. Yes, my body is falling apart. But I cannot afford the luxury of falling apart, Sarah. Falling apart costs money that I don't have. Linda, I had no idea things were that bad financially. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I know we are just co-workers, and I know we don't have the kind of deep, decades-long friendship that you have with Jessica, But I care about you, Linda. I have always cared about you. From the first day you started working here 3 years ago, I saw something special in you, a kindness, a warmth, a light in your eyes that made everyone around you feel safe and valued. And it breaks my heart to see that light dimming. So here is what I am going to do. I am going to lend you $2,000 to cover your rent this month. No, don't argue with me. Don't say a single word of protest. It is not a gift, it is a loan, and you can pay me back whenever you are back on your feet. But right now, in this moment, you need help, and I am offering it. Please let me help you, Linda. Sarah, I can't accept that. I barely know you outside of this office, and you are offering to lend me $2,000? That is more kindness than some of my closest friends have shown me. Do you know that since David died, Jessica has only visited me twice? Twice in an entire month. She calls occasionally, but the conversations are short and distracted, like she is somewhere more important to be. And David's mother, Margaret, she has not called me once. Not a single time. The woman stood at her own son's funeral and demanded money from me, and then she disappeared from my life like I never existed. The only person who has consistently checked on me, texted me every morning, asked me how I am doing, is you, Sarah. A woman I have only known for 3 years. It makes me question everything I thought I knew about loyalty and friendship and the people I surrounded myself with. Linda, sometimes God removes people from your life to show you that they were never really there for you in the first place. And sometimes God places new people in your path to show you what genuine love and support actually looks like. I don't know why Jessica has been absent, and I don't know why Margaret has been cold, but I do know this: you are not alone, Linda. You may feel alone, but you are not. I am here. This office is here. And most importantly, God is here. He sees your pain, He hears your cries, and He has a plan for you that is bigger and more beautiful than anything you can imagine right now. I truly believe that with every fiber of my being. Now take the money, pay your rent, keep showing up to work, and let's get through this one day at a time. Okay. Okay. One day at a time. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being the angel I didn't know I needed.
Linda, I want you to know that this is a safe space. There is no judgment here, no expectations, no pressure to be strong or composed or anything other than exactly what you are in this moment. You can cry if you need to cry. You can scream if you need to scream. You can sit in silence for the entire hour if that is what your soul needs. I am here to listen, to pray, and to walk alongside you through this valley of darkness. So tell me, Linda, how are you really doing? Not the polished, socially acceptable answer that you give everyone who asks. I want the raw, unfiltered truth. How is your heart?
Pastor James, if I am being completely honest, and I mean brutally, painfully honest, I am not doing well at all. I wake up every morning and for about 3 seconds, everything feels normal. My brain hasn't caught up yet, and in those 3 seconds, I forget that David is dead. I reach over to his side of the bed expecting to feel his warmth, expecting to hear his breathing, expecting to smell that cologne he always wore, the one that I bought him for his birthday 2 years ago. And then reality crashes into me like a freight train, and I remember. He's gone. He's never coming back. And those 3 seconds of peace become the cruelest part of my entire day, because they give me a taste of what my life used to be, only to rip it away again and again and again, every single morning, like a wound that refuses to heal, because it keeps getting reopened.
Grief is one of the most complex and devastating emotions that a human being can experience, Linda. It doesn't follow a straight line, and it doesn't operate on a schedule. Some days you will feel like you are making progress, like you are finally starting to breathe again, and then the very next day, something small and insignificant, a song on the radio, the smell of a particular food, a stranger who walks like David, will send you spiraling right back to square one. And that is completely normal. That is not weakness, Linda. That is love. The depth of your grief is a direct reflection of the depth of your love, and you love David profoundly. So of course the grief is profound. It would be strange if it weren't.
Pastor, can I confess something to you? Something that I have been too ashamed to say out loud to anyone? There have been nights, Dark, terrible nights, when I have questioned God. When I have looked up at the ceiling and asked him why. Why, David? Why now? Why in such a violent, horrifying way? David was only 30 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. We had our whole lives ahead of us. And God just took him? Without warning? Without giving us a chance to say goodbye. I know I am supposed to trust in God's plan. I know I am supposed to believe that everything happens for a reason. But Pastor, I am struggling to find the reason in this. I am struggling to see God's hand in something that feels so random and so cruel and so utterly senseless.
Linda, questioning God does not make you a bad Christian. It makes you a human being. Even King David, the man after God's own heart, cried out to God in his darkest moments and asked, "Why have you forsaken me?" Even Jesus himself, hanging on the cross, asked his Father why he had abandoned him. So if the Son of God can question the Father in his hour of suffering, then surely Linda Williams is allowed to do the same. God is not offended by your questions, Linda. He is not threatened by your doubt. He is big enough to hold your anger, your confusion, your pain, and your questions, all of it, without flinching. And when you are ready, not today, not tomorrow, but when you are ready, he will reveal to you the purpose behind this pain. I have seen it happen 1,000 times in my 30 years of ministry. The darkest chapters of a person's life often become the foundation for their greatest testimony. And I believe with everything in me, Linda, that your greatest testimony is still ahead of you.
Do you really believe that, Pastor? Do you really believe that something good can come from this much pain?
Linda, I don't just believe it. I know it. Because I serve a God who specializes in turning ashes into beauty, mourning into dancing, and broken things into masterpieces. Your story is not over, Linda. This chapter is painful, yes. But the author of your life is not finished writing yet. The best chapters are still coming. You just have to hold on long enough to read them.
Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to Riverside Family Dental. My name is Linda, and I will be assisting you today. Do you have an appointment, or would you like to schedule one? We have a few openings this afternoon, if you're available. Dr. Thompson is an excellent dentist. He is very gentle and thorough, and I promise we will take very good care of you.
Yes, I have a 2 o'clock appointment under the name Harrison. Charles Harrison. But before I sit down in that waiting room, young lady, I want to ask you something that might seem a little unusual. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, and I apologize in advance if I am overstepping any boundaries. But I have been in business for over 40 years, and in those 40 years, I have developed an ability to read people, to see past the surface and identify qualities that most people overlook. And in the 90 seconds since I walked through that door, I have noticed something remarkable about you.
Something remarkable about me? Sir, with all due respect, I am a receptionist at a dental office. I answer phones, schedule appointments, and file paperwork. There is nothing remarkable about what I do.
That is where you are wrong, young lady, and the fact that you believe that tells me that someone, or perhaps many someones, have spent a very long time convincing you that you are small and insignificant. But let me tell you what I observed in those 90 seconds. First, when I walked through that door, you greeted me with a genuine smile, not a fake, corporate, customer service smile, but a real, warm, human smile that made me feel welcome and valued. Second, you made direct eye contact with me, which tells me that you are confident and respectful, even when you are hurting, and yes, I can see that you are hurting. Third, you spoke with clarity, professionalism, and warmth, which tells me that you have excellent communication skills. And fourth, and this is the most important thing, when you described Dr. Thompson, you didn't just rattle off his credentials. You said, he is very gentle and thorough, and I promise we will take very good care of you. Do you know what that tells me? That tells me that you genuinely care about the experience of the people who walk through that door. You didn't just sell me a service, you made me a promise. And that, young lady, is the mark of someone who has leadership written all over them.
Mr. Harrison, that is the kindest thing anyone has said to me in a very long time. I don't even know how to respond to that. I have spent the last 4 months feeling completely invisible, like I don't matter, like my life has no purpose or direction. My husband passed away recently, And since then, I have been struggling just to survive, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Every day feels like I am drowning, and I am just barely keeping my head above water. So to hear someone, a complete stranger, tell me that they see something valuable in me. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. This is very unprofessional of me.
There is nothing unprofessional about being human, Linda. Now listen, I don't want to hold you up from your work, and I know I have an appointment to get to. But I want to give you my business card. I am the CEO and founder of Harrison Enterprises. We are a multi-million-dollar company that specializes in real estate development, hospitality, and consumer goods. I am always looking for talented, driven people to join my team, and something tells me, call it intuition, call it divine guidance, call it whatever you want, something tells me that you are exactly the kind of person I have been looking for. I want you to call me next week, and I want to discuss some opportunities that I think might change your life. No pressure, no obligation. Just a conversation between two people. Will you do that for me?
Mr. Harrison, Yes. Yes, I will call you. I don't know what to say other than thank you. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't even see myself. Sarah, I have been staring at this business card for 7 days. 7 whole days. I have picked up my phone to call Mr. Harrison at least 20 times, and every single time, I put the phone back down because I am terrified. What if he was just being polite? What if he gave me that card out of pity because he could see how pathetic and broken I am? What if I call him and he doesn't even remember who I am? Linda. Linda who? The crying receptionist from the dental office? Oh God, Sarah, I cannot do this. I am not qualified for whatever he is offering. I don't have a business degree. I don't have experience in real estate or hospitality or consumer goods. I am a receptionist, Sarah. That is all I know how to be. Linda Marie Williams, you listen to me right now. I am going to say something to you, and I need you to hear it, really hear it, not just with your ears but with your heart and your soul. You are not just a receptionist. You are a woman who has survived the worst year of her life and is still standing. You are a woman who lost her husband, was abandoned by her best friend, was disrespected by her mother-in-law, nearly lost her home, and still showed up to work every single day with a smile on her face and kindness in her heart. Do you know how much strength that takes? Do you know how many people would have crumbled under the weight of what you have been carrying? But you didn't crumble, Linda. You bent, yes. You cracked, yes. But you did not break. And that tells me, and it clearly told Mr. Harrison, that there is something extraordinary inside of you that is just waiting for the right opportunity to come alive. But what if I fail, Sarah? What if I take this leap of faith and I fall flat on my face? I have already lost so much this year. I don't think I can handle another loss. Another disappointment. Another door slamming shut in my face. I am running out of resilience, Sarah. My tank is almost empty. Linda, what if you succeed? Have you considered that possibility? What if you call Mr. Harrison, and he offers you an opportunity that completely transforms your life? What if this is the moment, the exact moment, that God has been preparing you for all along? What if every trial, every tear, every sleepless night was building the strength and the character and the wisdom that you need for this next chapter? You will never know unless you pick up that phone and make the call. And I will be right here beside you the entire time. So what do you say? Are you going to let fear keep you trapped in a life that is too small for you? Or are you going to be brave enough to step into the life that God has been designing for you? Okay. I'm going to call him. Right now. Before I lose my nerve. That's my girl. Now dial.
Linda, I am so glad you called. I was starting to think you might not, and that would have been a real shame, because I have been thinking about our conversation at the dental office ever since it happened. Please, sit down. Can I get you some coffee? Water? Tea? Make yourself comfortable because we have a lot to discuss, and I want you to feel completely at ease.
Water would be wonderful, thank you. Mr. Harrison, I want to be completely transparent with you before we go any further. I need you to know exactly who you are sitting across from. I am a 30-year-old widow with a high school diploma and some community college credits. I have been working as a receptionist for the past 8 years, and before that, I worked as a cashier at a grocery store. I have no business experience, no industry connections, no savings to speak of, and absolutely no idea what I could possibly offer a multi-million-dollar company like Harrison Enterprises. I say all of this not to talk myself out of an opportunity, but because I believe in honesty, and I would rather you know the truth about my background now than discover it later and feel like I misrepresented myself.
Linda, do you know what my background was when I started this company 42 years ago? I was a 19-year-old kid from the south side of Chicago with a 9th grade education, $75 in my pocket, and a dream that everyone around me said was too big for someone like me. My own father told me I would never amount to anything. My teachers wrote me off as a lost cause. My friends laughed at me when I told them I wanted to build an empire. And do you know what I did? I used every single one of those doubts, every single one of those rejections, every single one of those laughs as fuel. I burned that fuel and I turned it into motivation, into determination, into an unshakable belief that my circumstances did not determine my destiny. And 42 years later, I am sitting in this office, running a company that employs over 3,000 people in 12 states, with a net worth that I couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams at 19 years old. So when you sit there and tell me about your high school diploma and your receptionist job and your lack of experience, do you know what I hear? I hear the beginning of a success story. I hear chapter 1. And I want to help you write the rest of it.
Mr. Harrison, why? Why would you help me? You don't know me. We are strangers who met by chance at a dental office. Why would you invest your time and resources into someone like me?
Because 42 years ago, a stranger did the same thing for me. A man named Walter Gibson walked into the shoe shine stand where I was working on Michigan Avenue, and instead of just getting his shoes shined and walking away, he sat down, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Son, you have something special. I don't know what it is yet, but I can see it." He gave me his business card, he mentored me, he taught me everything he knew about business and leadership and integrity, and he changed the trajectory of my entire life. Walter Gibson died 15 years ago, and on his deathbed, he made me promise one thing, that I would do for someone else what he did for me. That I would find the diamond in the rough and help them shine. I have been looking for that diamond for 15 years, Linda. And when you smiled at me in that dental office, I knew I had finally found it.
What? What exactly are you proposing?
I want to bring you into Harrison Enterprises as my personal protege. I will train you in every aspect of this business: real estate, hospitality, operations, finance, marketing, leadership, everything. You will start in an entry-level management position, but I expect you to move up quickly because I have a feeling that once you understand the game, you will master it faster than anyone I have ever trained. I will also fund any education or certifications you need along the way. In return, all I ask is that you give me 100% of your effort, 100% of your honesty, and 100% of your commitment. Can you do that?
Mr. Harrison, I will give you 110%. You have my word.
Mrs. Williams, or should I say Miss Williams, COO of Harrison Enterprises, I must say, this is quite the transformation from the woman I met 3 years ago. The last time I saw you, you were collapsed on the floor of a small apartment, crying over the death of your husband. And now here you are, sitting in a corner office on the 32nd floor of a skyscraper, running one of the most successful companies in the country. I have to be honest with you, when I heard about your success story in the news, I almost didn't believe it. But seeing it with my own eyes, Linda, you should be incredibly proud of what you have accomplished.
Thank you, Detective Cole. Or should I say retired Detective Cole? I heard you finally hung up the badge last year. But I have to ask, your phone call last week was very cryptic. You said you had something important to discuss with me, something that couldn't wait, something that would, and I quote, change everything I thought I knew about my husband's death. Those are very heavy words, Detective. I have spent the last 3 years rebuilding my life from the ground up, and I am in a very good place right now, professionally, financially, emotionally, spiritually. So whatever you are about to tell me, I need you to know that I am strong enough to hear it, But I also need you to be gentle with me because the wounds from David's death, while healed on the surface, are still tender underneath.
Linda, what I am about to tell you is going to be difficult to hear. It is going to make you angry. It is going to make you question everything and everyone you trusted. And it might even make you doubt your own sanity for a moment. But I owe you the truth, Linda. I have owed you the truth for 3 years, and the guilt of keeping this from you has been eating me alive ever since I retired and finally had the time and the freedom to dig deeper into what happened that night on Highway 47. Are you ready?
Tell me everything.
Linda, your husband David is alive. He did not die in that car accident 3 years ago. The entire thing was staged, meticulously planned and executed by David, his mother Margaret, and I am so sorry to tell you this, your best friend, Jessica. They faked David's death using an unidentified body from the county morgue. They had contacts inside the police department and the insurance company who helped them falsify the accident report, the death certificate, and the identification of the body. David and Jessica left the state 2 weeks after the funeral and have been living together in California under assumed names. They are married, Linda. They got married 6 months after your husband's so-called death. They have been living in a house in Malibu, running a small business together, a business that was partially funded by the insurance money that Margaret collected from you and partially by savings that David had been secretly siphoning from your joint accounts for over a year before the staged accident.
Say that again. Say every single word of what you just said to me one more time, because I need to make sure that my ears are not deceiving me. I need to make sure that I am not sitting in this chair having a hallucination brought on by stress or exhaustion. Tell me again, Detective Cole. Tell me again that the man I mourned for, the man I cried for, the man whose death nearly destroyed me, the man whose funeral I attended, the man whose casket I stood over and wept until I had no tears left, tell me again that he is alive and living in California with my best friend. Tell me again. Say it slowly. Because I need to hear every syllable.
Linda, David is alive. He and Jessica are married and living in Malibu, California. Margaret orchestrated the entire plan. They deceived you, they stole from you, they manipulated you, and they have been living their lives freely for the past 3 years while you went through hell. And Linda, there's more. The officers who helped falsify the reports have since been fired and are cooperating with federal investigators. This isn't just a case of insurance fraud, this is a criminal conspiracy involving multiple felonies. If you choose to pursue this legally, they will face serious prison time. All of them, David, Jessica, and Margaret.
3 years. For 3 years, I grieved a man who was alive. For 3 years, I blamed myself for our last argument. For 3 years, I carried the guilt of not saying I love you one last time. For 3 years, I cried myself to sleep in an empty bed, talking to a man I thought was in heaven, asking him to watch over me, asking him to send me a sign that he was at peace. And he was in Malibu. With Jessica. My best friend. The woman I trusted more than anyone on this planet. The woman who held me while I cried at the funeral. The woman who stroked my hair and promised me that she would always be there for me. She was there, detective, at the funeral of a man who wasn't dead, pretending to comfort a woman whose life she had helped destroy. That is a level of evil that I cannot comprehend. That is a level of betrayal that I didn't know human beings were capable of. Linda, what happened? Your text said come now, it's urgent, and I broke every traffic law in the city getting here. Why are you sitting in the dark? Why do you look like you have seen a ghost? Talk to me, Linda. Whatever it is, we will face it together, just like we have faced everything else together for the past 3 years. Sarah, David is alive. My husband, David Anthony Williams, the man I buried 3 years ago, is alive. He faked his death. He staged the entire car accident with help from his mother Margaret and my so-called best friend Jessica. And then, while I was drowning in grief, while I was being evicted from my apartment, while I was borrowing money from you just to pay rent, while I was questioning God and questioning my will to live, while I was going through all of that, David and Jessica were in Malibu, California, living in a beach house, married to each other, building a life together with money they stole from me. My best friend of 20 years and my husband of 5 years conspired to destroy me, Sarah. They planned it, They executed it, and they walked away without a shred of remorse. No. No, that's not possible. Linda, are you absolutely sure about this? Where is this information coming from? Because this sounds like something out of a movie, not real life. People don't fake their deaths. People don't. No, I take that back. Clearly, some people do. Oh my God, Linda. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I am literally speechless, and you know that I am never speechless. This is the most monstrous thing I have ever heard in my entire life. How could they do this to you? How could Jessica do this to you? That woman looked you in the eyes at the funeral and held your hand and, oh, I feel physically sick. I actually feel like I might throw up right now. Sarah, I did not call you here to cry. I called you here because I need you to help me think clearly. The old Linda, the Linda who sat on the floor of her apartment and begged God to take her pain away, that Linda would have crumbled at this news. But I am not that Linda anymore. The woman standing in front of you right now has survived the unsurvivable. She has built an empire from nothing. She has proven to herself and to the world that she is not the weak, insignificant, worthless woman that David and Margaret and Jessica believed her to be. So no, I am not going to cry. I am not going to scream. I am not going to fall apart. I am going to do something far more powerful than any of those things. I am going to make them face me. I am going to look them in the eyes and show them exactly who Linda Williams became while they were busy trying to destroy her. And then I am going to let the law deal with them, because I refuse to lower myself to their level. My success is my revenge, Sarah. My life is my revenge. And they are about to find out just how sweet that revenge tastes. Linda, I reviewed everything that Detective Cole provided, and I have to tell you, in my 25 years of practicing law, I have never seen a case quite like this. The level of premeditation, the number of co-conspirators, the scope of the fraud, this is not a simple case of insurance fraud. This is a multi-layered criminal conspiracy that spans state lines, which means it falls under federal jurisdiction. We are talking about insurance fraud, identity theft, falsifying government documents, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit fraud, and potentially even charges related to the misuse of a corpse, since they used an unidentified body from the county morgue to stage the death. Linda, if we pursue this to the fullest extent of the law, and I strongly recommend that we do, David, Jessica, and Margaret are looking at anywhere from 15 to 25 years in federal prison each. Mitchell, I want to make something very clear. I am not pursuing this case out of revenge. I am not pursuing it out of anger or bitterness or a desire to see them suffer. I am pursuing this because what they did was wrong. What they did was criminal. What they did didn't just hurt me, it violated the law, it compromised the integrity of law enforcement, and it made a mockery of the justice system. If I let them walk away unpunished, I am essentially telling the world that it is acceptable to destroy someone's life, steal their money, and fake a death for personal gain. And I refuse to send that message. I want them arrested. I want them charged. I want them tried in a court of law. And I want the world to know what they did, not for my reputation, but so that other people who might be victims of similar schemes know that there is justice available to them. Linda, you are handling this with more grace and dignity than 99% of the population would. Most people in your position would be screaming for blood. But you are approaching this with the composure and the strategic thinking of a true leader. Now, there is one more thing I need to discuss with you. Since David is technically still your legal husband, because you cannot divorce a dead man, and he was never declared legally alive again, his fraudulent death means that your marriage was never legally dissolved. This gives you certain legal rights, including the right to claim half of any assets he has accumulated during the period of his supposed death, as well as the right to pursue a civil lawsuit for emotional distress, fraud, and theft of marital assets. Between the criminal case and the civil case, Linda, we have the opportunity to not only bring them to justice, but to ensure that they are held financially accountable for every dollar they stole and every moment of suffering they caused you. File everything. Criminal and civil. I want every legal avenue pursued simultaneously. And Mitchell? I want to be there when they are arrested. I want to look David in the eyes when they put the handcuffs on him. I have earned that. Understood. I will coordinate with the federal prosecutors and Detective Cole's contacts. We should be ready to move within 72 hours.
Linda? What? How? What are you doing here? This isn't. I can explain. Linda, please, just let me explain everything before you.
Hello, David. Or should I call you Daniel Watson? That is the name you have been using for the past 3 years, isn't it? The name you used to marry my best friend. The name you used to open bank accounts and start a business and build a life on a foundation of lies and stolen money and a fake death. Tell me, David, when you were lying on the beach with Jessica, sipping cocktails and watching the sunset, did you ever think about me? Did you ever wonder what happened to the woman you left behind? The woman who cried herself to sleep every night for 6 months. The woman who almost ended up homeless? The woman who had to borrow money from a coworker just to keep a roof over her head? Did you ever, for even a single moment, feel guilty about what you did to me?
Linda, I am so sorry. I am so incredibly sorry. I know that those words mean nothing to you right now, and I know that no apology could ever undo the damage that I have caused. But I need you to know that there were nights, many nights, when I lay awake thinking about you, wondering if you were okay, wondering if you had moved on, wondering if you hated me. And every single night, the guilt was so overwhelming that I could barely breathe. I made the worst mistake of my life, Linda. I let my mother's manipulation and my own selfishness and my weakness for Jessica destroy the best thing that ever happened to me, and that was you. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, Linda, and I was too blind and too stupid and too cowardly to see it.
You know what is funny, David? 3 years ago, those words would have meant the world to me. 3 years ago, I would have taken you back without hesitation, because I loved you that much. I loved you so much that I would have forgiven anything, the affair, the lies, the fake death, all of it. I would have wrapped my arms around you and said, "It's okay, David, we will get through this together." But I am not that Linda anymore. That Linda died, truly died, on the night you faked your death. And from her ashes, a new woman was born. A woman who knows her worth. A woman who built an empire with her own 2 hands. A woman who doesn't need a man to validate her existence or define her purpose. You didn't just lose a wife when you staged that accident, David. You lost a queen. And you traded her for a traitor.
Linda, please. I'll do anything. I'll turn myself in. I'll testify against my mother. I'll give you everything I have. Just please. Please tell me there is a chance. Tell me there is some small part of you that still...
Agents, he's all yours. Linda, I know you probably don't want to hear anything I have to say right now, and honestly, I don't blame you. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't want to hear from me either. But I need to say this, I need to get this off my chest, because it has been suffocating me for 3 years and I cannot carry it for 1 more second. I am sorry, Linda. I am sorry for betraying the most sacred friendship I have ever known. I am sorry for falling in love with your husband. I am sorry for conspiring to fake his death. I am sorry for holding you at the funeral and pretending to grieve with you when I knew that David was alive and waiting for me. I am sorry for being the worst friend, the worst human being, the worst version of myself. I am sorry for all of it, Linda. Every lie, every deception, every moment of your suffering that I caused, I am sorry. Jessica, do you remember when we were 12 years old and those girls at school were bullying me because I didn't have nice clothes and my mother had just left and I had no one? Do you remember what you did? You stood up in front of the entire cafeteria and you said, "Anyone who messes with Linda messes with me." And from that day forward, you were my protector, my defender, my ride or die. I would have taken a bullet for you, Jessica. I would have walked through fire for you. That is how much I loved you. Not past tense, I am using past tense now because the Jessica I loved died a long time ago. The woman standing in front of me in handcuffs is a stranger. A stranger who wore my best friend's face and used it to destroy me. Linda, if I could go back and change everything, I would. I swear on my life, I would undo all of it. I don't know how I became this person. I don't know when I crossed the line from friendship to betrayal. It happened so gradually that by the time I realized what I was doing, I was already in too deep to turn back. David and Margaret made it sound so logical, so calculated, so clean, like we could just erase you from the equation and no one would get hurt. But people did get hurt, Linda. You got hurt. And I will spend the rest of my life living with the knowledge that I am the one who hurt you. That is my punishment, Linda. Prison is nothing compared to the prison of knowing what I have done to you. You're right, Jessica. Prison is nothing compared to that. But you are going to experience both. Goodbye, Jessica. I hope that one day, when you have served your time and paid your debt to society, you find the courage to become the woman you were supposed to be. The woman I believed you were when I was 12 years old in that cafeteria. Because that girl, the one who stood up for me, she was someone worth knowing. This person in front of me? I don't know her at all. Linda, thank you so much for joining us today. Your story has captivated the entire nation. For our viewers who may not be familiar with the details, can you give us a brief overview of what you have been through over the past 3.5 years? Karen, thank you for having me. My story is one that I never imagined I would be telling on national television, but I believe it is a story that needs to be told because there are millions of people out there right now who are going through their own version of what I went through, and they need to know that there is hope on the other side of heartbreak. 3.5 years ago, I was a receptionist at a dental office, married to a man I loved with all my heart. One evening, I received a visit from a detective who told me that my husband had died in a car accident. My world collapsed. I lost everything: my husband, my financial stability, my sense of self. I nearly lost my home. I nearly lost my will to live. But by the grace of God and the kindness of a few extraordinary people who appeared in my life at exactly the right time, I not only survived, I thrived. I went from being a grieving widow making $32,000 a year to becoming the chief operating officer of Harrison Enterprises, overseeing operations worth over $500 million. And then, 3 years after my husband's supposed death, I discovered the truth: he was alive. He had faked his death in a conspiracy involving his mother and my best friend, and they had been living together in California the entire time. They were arrested, charged with multiple federal crimes, and are currently awaiting trial. And here I am, Karen, standing in the ruins of everything they tried to destroy, more successful, more powerful, and more at peace than I have ever been in my entire life. Linda, that is absolutely extraordinary. When you look back on everything that happened, the betrayal, the grief, the struggle, the rise, what is the one lesson that stands out to you above all others? The lesson is this, Karen, and I want everyone watching this to hear me clearly: the people who try to destroy you are actually doing you a favor. They are removing themselves from your life so that God can replace them with people who truly deserve to be there. David, Jessica, and Margaret thought they were taking everything from me when they staged that death. But what they actually did was strip away every false foundation in my life so that God could build something real, something strong, something unshakable. They meant it for evil, Karen. But God used it for good. And that is the story of my life, a story of betrayal turned into blessing, ashes turned into beauty, and a broken woman turned into a billionaire. Because yes, Karen, as of last month, Harrison Enterprises went public, and my equity stake in the company is now valued at over $1.2 billion. I am officially a billionaire. And I started with nothing but a broken heart and a borrowed $2,000 from a coworker who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Linda Williams, you are an inspiration to millions. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. Thank you, Karen. And to anyone watching this who is going through the darkest chapter of their life, please hold on. Your story is not over. The best chapters are still coming. I am living proof of that.
Linda, I have built a lot of things in my life: buildings, businesses, wealth, legacy. But nothing I have ever built makes me prouder than watching you become the woman standing next to me right now. When I walked into that dental office 3.5 years ago, I didn't just find a receptionist with a nice smile. I found the warrior who didn't know she was a warrior yet. I found a queen who had been told her whole life that she was a peasant. I found the diamond that the world had been walking over because it was covered in dirt and dust and pain. And all I did was brush off the dirt, Linda. The diamond was always there. It was always you.
Mr. Harrison, Charles, you didn't just give me a job. You gave me my life back. You gave me purpose when I had none. You gave me hope when mine had run out. You gave me a chance when no one else would. And you fulfilled the promise you made to Walter Gibson on his deathbed. You found your diamond in the rough. And I promise you, on everything I hold sacred, that I will spend the rest of my life paying it forward. I will find my own diamond someday, another broken, forgotten, overlooked soul, and I will do for them what you did for me. That is my promise. That is my legacy. That is how this story continues.
And that, Linda, is how empires are truly built. Not with money, not with power, but with kindness, purpose, and the courage to see greatness in people who can't yet see it in themselves.
They faked his death because they thought I was nothing without him. They stole my money because they thought I couldn't build my own. They took my best friend because they thought I would never find real friendship. They tried to break me because they thought I was fragile. But here is what they didn't know: you cannot break a woman who has already been broken and chose to rebuild herself. You cannot destroy a destiny that God has already written. And you cannot dim a light that was born to shine. My name is Linda Williams. I was betrayed by the 3 people I trusted most in this world. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because their betrayal didn't destroy me, it unleashed me.